Hi, welcome everybody to another yet Asante MarTech Unpacked series. My name is Hoto. I will be your host tonight. I am joined by Banele Tshabalala, who is a marketing strategist. Today we'll be unpacking more of what he does. And if you don't mind, Banele, just going to open the floor for you to just give us a brief introduction of yourself. What is it that you do? What makes you tick? So we can get this started.
Hi, Queen, and hi to everyone tuned in today and watching us live on any social network. My name is Banele Tshabalala, as you see on your screen, and I am a marketing strategist. So basically, what I do is I weave in the overarching goals and strategy of a brand. And from then on, I breathe in life to a brand. A brand is a brand is a brand. That's what I like saying. So in other words, it could be a human being or it could be a fully scaled company. And from then on, we actually build on the marketing tactics and we get to sales and we ensure that the brand speaks to what it actually is whenever it's actually connecting with its prospective clients, customers, and even internally its staff. In a nutshell, that's what I do.
All right, that is interesting saying. So we're just gonna jump straight to it, right? Because we're unpacking. We wanna know. So what does it truly mean for a brand to be authentic and is sale driven, like in 2025's digital world?
So I think if we want to actually understand how a brand is truly authentic and be sales driven at the same time, is first and foremost, let's define authentic. So being authentic is basically being you, therefore not being anyone else and not lying to yourself. First and foremost, know the people you actually interact with. So authenticity is basically that being true to who you are. There's a saying that I love always quoting, which states that be you because everyone else is taken. So that's the first part. Then the second part of being sales driven is the part of look. End of the day, let's be honest. We are about transacting to a certain extent, which means there's a sale that needs to transpire. So what you do is you itself in order to reach the sale. You don't look for the sale first, then try and become authentic because that actually gives you certain issues in the long run where when you look at your different funnel levels when it comes to your marketing tactics and you look at your clientele, even you look at your staff, if you are not authentic as a company and you're true to yourself. So for instance, let's take Asante, for instance, as an example. So we say we're digital first, right? You would say you're digital
Yes.
first. So you lean towards the pillar. All right. So even when you're having discussions, it's always departing from literally being digital first. Then you do whatever you actually have to do within the marketing realm. And being authentic to yourself and true to yourself, you would have discussions. Let's say, for instance, there was an interview with a prospective staff member. You would actually lead the conversation from a position of digital first. You wouldn't lead from a fashion first or whatever it is because that's not who you are.
That is.
So from an authenticity point of view, you lead that. Yeah. And also with clients also when you're actually looking for prospects and you're prospecting and you're looking for a client and actually make that sale, what you do is you actually depart from digital first because end of the day, not everybody is your customer and not everybody's going to buy from you. And in fact, you don't want everyone to buy from you because that's not who you are. End of the day, the only thing that everyone loves is probably money. And since since we are not money, we understand that point. So for you to be authentic and sales driven at the same time, you need to actually depart from an authenticity point you are in order to actually acquire that sale, whether it be internal in terms of staff or external in terms of customers. So in 2025, look, I will not lie, nothing's changed. It is still that. You need to be true to yourself in order for you to be able to attract the right type of clientele or customer.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. So essentially, you said something about being married. I'm not sure if I misheard that, but I can be married. I might be, but I'm not. As you say, I'm saying I can be.
Okay. Point of correction. I said money. We cannot be money. We're
Oh,
not money.
moneyed.
Money.
Okay, I'm like, when did I get married? When did I not get married? I'm joking. I'm joking, but I completely get your point. And also, I like the example that you made
Mm,
of being digital first. That the Asante's pillar. So essentially, for a brand to be both authentic and sales driven, you must know your target. You must know who you are, what is it that you represent, or what is it that you do before actually going to the sales part of things. That is a very
a hundred
that is a
percent.
very interesting take, especially in this digital world, because most people would find themselves doing things, other things that they don't even do, that don't even represent, and now you don't even have a direction. But I do get it, and thanks so much for that. So like your experience with what we just discussed, what is the most common mistake that is made by brands when trying to boost, maybe let's say sales, which in then end up compromising their identity?
They actually start with looking for the sale first. So it goes back to the first point. So if you're looking just for the sale, that's the biggest mistake you make because then you forget to be authentic and
Mm,
you sometimes lose your brand. So think of it in terms of understanding, if you understand one's true self, in this case, as a brand, and you know who you are, there are certain things that you should never do because of the very nature of your organization. So, for instance, you wouldn't necessarily look to find, let's say, for instance, a Tesla somewhere in the ocean, for instance, and talking about aqua, and the ocean itself, and then them actually selling diving material and all that. You wouldn't, because Tesla is basically a solar company. Basically, that's what they are.
mm, yes.
So they would stick to that because their brand is known for that. It's the heritage of understanding that you're a technology-driven company in this context, and it's all about solar powered, and that's what you do. You want to go green, basically, and you're clean, etc., etc., etc. So even then, also them partnering with a company which basically pollutes the earth is a brand mismatch.
Yeah.
It's a brand mismatch because in as much as they are in the energy sector, because yes they are, let's be honest, they are in the energy sector, but they are not necessarily fossil fuel because that actually pollutes. So anybody that does the opposite of that is actually a brand mismatch. When you understand the pillars and understand your brand, then you would actually move forward. But what sometimes happens is the company would be suffering from a revenue loss, or from sales or a pipeline at least. And what will happen is you end up becoming a little bit desperate. And I say this in a nice way because it depends how much the checkbook is supposed to be. And you end up, instead of improvising, which can be done, you end up compromising, and the compromising of your brand actually hurts you more in the long run, even though it might gain you in the short term. And this is something very, very important. Hence, the authenticity part is something that's very, very critical because if you depart from being authentic, you take you. And another clear example would be in our recent years, Nike with Tiger Woods, when there was a huge scandal and everybody was, some people left, Nike stuck and said, we represent great athletes. All right. We represent great athletes. And they stuck with them because that's what they stood for, in as much as there was everything in and around it. And that's come to pay off for the company. I'm not saying whether they were right or wrong. What I actually am saying is they were true and authentic to their pillar of we celebrate great athletes. And his athleticism hadn't changed. Still a great athlete of our time for golf. Very, very tough to remove him from that podium. And they stuck with it. And even now, they're still seeing the returns. Yeah, I think that's one great example I can give. I don't want to belabor the point and dive too much into authenticity because I could talk about it all day.
I almost said, please do dive because that's the main purpose of the Unpacked series. But if you say all day, we only have an hour. So I would really like to hear more about that, especially like in point of view, honestly, because I didn't even know about the Nike scandal. Now it's just like it's an eye opener for me. Like, oh, you can even back down on a deal because it doesn't stand with what you like stand for. It's something that I wasn't like aware of. Like when you sign the contract, it's signed. That you just go and do it. But I do understand, especially in terms of compromising your identity as a brand. That seems to be like a long stretch, but it is a very valid thing to look at. I'm just thinking, like, from a marketing perspective, if like we say we are digital first and then you find us some way. I don't know if it's wrong or right, but let's say we're just to do a newspaper article or like a newspaper advert. You can't find it on TikTok, no way on LinkedIn, no way on YouTube, no way on any known social medias. It's somewhere in, not even Isole's way. I'm just thinking of something that would be from for that area, like or daily news, something for that area. Like, would that contradict then? Would that count as a compromise of identity? I'm just thinking.
So, in essence, that's actually a very good question. But in essence, it wouldn't be a compromise necessarily, because if you're saying the ad only shows up in physical media, so print format, so you can't find it digitally, and yet you're a digital first company. The answer would be no. It's not a compromise. It might be an improvisation, and the reason why there's always a fine line between it because you're not losing your identity. Because end of the day, remember you as Asante Solutions, what you do is you basically digitize. Let's be honest, that's what you basically do. You work in digital because digital first, so you digitize whatever elements you work with. So, in essence, what you've done is you've gone back to people who are probably not even on social media the way I foresee it. These are people who are probably not even on social media. They're only reading newspaper ads and reading magazines, and they're not on the digital side of the world. And your job is to actually transition them and showcase them utilizing digitization. That look, this is what we can do. And remember, that's green fields versus having to knock on doors and speak to people already on the platforms, which are digital already. So it's not a compromise. It's an improvisation because now what you're doing is you're going to green fields and looking at places where they might not normally see you. Because if we're being honest, not everybody will see your ad even on digital. And that's because the algorithm is set that way. But I'm not going to go into those details because look, you're the digital company. I'm just a brand strategist. I look at it high level, and then I bring in the specialist, which in this case would be you guys. So yeah, look, it's an improvisation. It's not a compromisation.
It's not a compromise,
You're still
right?
authentic to who you are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Something between the two things. So that makes so much sense for me. And thank you for the clarity. We are now 15 minutes into our Unpack series with Banele. And we are live, so you can see us on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok. If you have any questions, you can drop a comment and we'll be able to read it out for Banele to, answer the question like how he just did with my question. Uh, so moving on in your experience, what has a customer perception of identity evolved over the years, especially with social media and influencer marketing?
Sorry, can you just repeat that? You were a little bit quick. So, can you ask it again?
Yeah. No worries. I was asking if how has customer perception of authenticity have evolved over the years, especially with social media and influencer marketing?
I think it's probably 10x year on year for the past at least 5 to 10 years, but I'll say probably the past 5. And what I mean when I state that is, look, for back in the day when customers wanted to interact with a brand, they most likely had to either write a letter or go to the offices or call the actual office. All right. And then as time has moved
Yes,
on, the store itself or the head office is now the actual social media platform. So when you actually open up that handle for your brand, customers can now interact with you directly. So the perception is authenticity has actually become more and more prevalent because now people will talk to you however they like on an open platform on social media. And if you are hiding something, remember, on social media, millions and millions of people are online at the same time. There's always that
that
one
is
guy.
true.
There's always that one guy. And if you're not true to who you be, someone will rip that open and they will pull the thread until you have no garment left to hide whatever you're hiding. And with that being
That
said,
is
the authenticity is more important now than ever because if you show up fake and you align with things that don't actually speak towards what your brand is, you will take the biggest knock. Sometimes you don't recover. And it has now become more, authenticity has become more and more and more prevalent because if you lie or change and you have the wrong type of partnership, even if it's a partnership with an influencer in this context, and that influencer is not speaking to your brand values, the authenticity breaks, and it breaks in two ways. It breaks with your customers who are currently existing, and it breaks with the would-be customers. So you no longer lose once, and that has become more prevalent because back in the day, your medium, because social media is basically that. It's a medium. It's a medium. Medium back in the day,
yes.
broadcasting would have been your terrestrial television. It would have been your. Those are the two prevalent ones, and then it was newspaper and magazine. So you had those three, and these were tightly controlled. So your authenticity, you could almost be able to sandbag certain elements and get away with it because these were tightly controlled, only a few people. Social media reversed the power, where instead of the big corporates necessarily having the power, it is now the users that have the power. So now it's become more and more of a thing. So which is a good and a bad thing, depends on where you're departing from, because you can now see other brands that can start up almost from nowhere and become one of the biggest brands. Think of a Galaxy Boy, when especially Galaxy Boy, the way even their marketing worked was through authenticity, where they showed up with the people that they actually were the persona customer profile that they actually wanted. They showed up in universities, they showed up in digital, all right, and then those people became brand ambassadors for them through that authenticity because they didn't even pay brand ambassadors at the time. By the way, I don't know if they are now, but even the celebrities that we know of, they weren't being paid for wearing the garments. They basically got given a garment. Some of them actually would go out and purchase and support, and then actually make a song. At some point, we even had, I think, rest in peace, AKA, he did say Galaxy Boy. That's culture. It's one of those elements when you're authentic, you actually have brand ambassadors without having to actually go out and pay them or even convince them. They come to you, and that's the true power of authenticity. And it's become more and more of a thing. I'm not sure if you saw my post on LinkedIn when the first initial poster came out, and I said it's amazing that, okay, I'm gonna paraphrase. But I said it's amazing that when you work with authenticity, it seems like everything works like magic. And when I was relaying the message of or the story of Galaxy Boy now, it seems like magic. Because how do you get people who get paid hundreds and thousands to
Sure,
millions
if
for ambassadorships to jump on board?
I'm so sorry a bit the whether it's my or what
Mm.
is going on. I last heard the part about your LinkedIn post and then
Okay,
authenticity, and then it just went a bit static. If you can kind of
all
just
right.
repeat that.
Not a problem. So I was saying I'm paraphrasing my LinkedIn post, but in my LinkedIn post I spoke about when you depart from authenticity as a brand, you everything still seems to work like magic. It seems just to work, and this goes back to what I was stating with Galaxy Boy. These are people who would be paid hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions, for ambassadorships or photo shoots, but they did it for free. And that's because they connected. That's what you're building. Once you're
Mm.
authentic, you connect with the correct customer. And once a connection builds and you have the trust, as long as you depart from it, sales stuff, they almost come in magically. You no longer look for customers, customers look for you.
So everything just clicks. It's like some would call it the universe is
Yeah.
providing, but everything just aligns. So I get what you're saying. I get
Yeah.
what you're I get what you're saying so much. So essentially, you should be authentic, or being authentic is crucial because it makes things align for you.
Yeah.
Because now the brand will speak for you. What you do, your work essentially speaks for you to an extent that people will now want to work with you, collaborate with you, even without you having to like, you know, I don't want to say, what's the term I'm looking for? I don't want to say reach
Advertise.
out as well,
What? Advertise?
advertise, negotiate,
Mm.
you know, without having to like, without having to do a lot, things just fall into place. All right, all right. I'm just trying to wrap it up in my head because now cause I'm just like being authentic. Sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time, people would fake it, fake being authentic, or even like the brand or whatever that they stand for. You find a business that once did, I don't know, manufacture products. They are now manufacturing t-shirts. It's like, can I trust that though? Because yesterday, it's like going to McD and eating a I don't know, a steak. It's like, but you do burgers, you do this, you do that. I'm not restricting them. Just saying, if they're going to the Shisanyama and then
Mm.
asking for mac and cheese, or if it's telling you that they're doing mac and cheese, it's something that's like, can I trust it? I do
Well,
thing.
it's
So that
it's a very good point. It's a very good point. It does get tricky though, in terms when you start thinking about certain brands. It you can't depart from being authentic and then pivot, because pivoting is something that happens also within business. So, what do I mean when I say this? When you think about it, Nike was founded on the basis of running shoes.
mm,
Running shoes. Why did they endorse Jordan and become such a big thing when that's basketball? Exactly. You get it. So,
yes.
in that term, Nike also departed from their brand value and authenticity because what they stood with was just do it. And in terms of sports, what that also means is they also as I said, they celebrate great athletes. They
Yes.
would sell you the product without even talking about the product. Because I say Jordan, and you can imagine you thinking of the Jordan, which is the basketball shoe, which is the shoe, all right, and then you think of the brand holistically, and you get a feeling with it, and they stuck with it. So it was also pivoting is not necessarily wrong. Actually, it's encouraged as long as you do it within your brand value and you're authentic to who you truly are. Because for them, the one common thread right across has been to celebrate great athletes. Hence, when you look at even your Serena Williams, etc., and all the people that have been there, they've been the greatest, arguably, of their generation. And that's what they've done. And nothing stops them from interchanging within the sporting court. But then again, remember, it's about athletes. It would look a little bit weird if you start finding a just do it washing machine.
Yes. I wasn't expecting
Yeah.
that. I'm sorry.
No,
It's so
no, it's
weird.
okay. It's just like, what are we doing here? We're spinning the wheel. What are we doing? It would be weird. It would be weird.
Yeah,
But
I get it.
we don't mind seeing them in paddle. We don't mind seeing them in bowling. We actually don't mind seeing them in snooker, boxing. Like all of a sudden, that makes more sense when you think about it more and more. So that's a key part, and I think this is why I love my job because for me the authenticity part is so critical because what it does is it allows you to even pivot. And if you listen carefully when we're strategizing as a brand strategist, I will let you know that maybe this is actually out of your zone, and you don't want to do this, but maybe that could actually work depending what your brand values actually are. And that's how you actually keep the true equity of the company because Nike is a very valuable brand. So valuable,
That
Steve
is true.
Jobs literally had a keynote and spoke about them and said, we are taking a page off what Nike does in order for us to become great. So if the multi-trillion dollar company stands to be created right now because the stocks are going up and down, but basically that's what they were, Apple. That's what they actually became. If they could take a page off of that and understanding what the true brand essence actually is and being authentic and remaining authentic to it, let's be honest, maybe there's something there.
There is. There is something that you like. I like that approach that they took. That is so new, especially with the thing with Steve Jobs. Wasn't even aware. I'm learning. I'm learning and taking into my invisible bag. Unpacking. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.
This is a pleasure.
I do hope that people I do take it, especially if you're looking to start, I don't know, maybe you're into marketing or you're gonna be learning marketing in the near future, or you are actually in the marketing sector. These are the most important things that people will miss out, especially in a business. Stick to your brand. Be authentic, be true to yourself, know what you represent. In that way, even if you do pivot, like he did mention, it won't be like such a train smash. It's like, oh, okay, it's like an improv, something that relates to that. Don't go and sell washing machines and then we find you one day you are running a fast food restaurant. It's just, what is it that you're doing? Stick to that and ensure that it's what you told us in the beginning, it's what you're still running with. Don't limit yourself though. I feel like we don't have to limit ourselves or restrict ourselves, but to that one brand, it should be what it is. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Banele. We are now 30 minutes into our session. I do see that on LinkedIn things are popping. People are reacting and having fun. Oh, yeah, it's a comment from Olindo. Essentially, he's just loving it. He just threw a lot of fires. So, all right. Okay, we're gonna move on from that. So, in terms of like strategy and approach, what are some key indicators that brand marketing efforts are becoming too transactional? Like, what are some key indicators that you can share with us or that you see happening?
Oh, there's so many red flags. we call it indicators here, but I think let's call it what it is. It's a red flag. The red flags would be first and foremost, you are talking more as a brand on social media, and I think the quickest litmus test is social media, because social media is the place where people react quite quicker. So if they're not liking, sharing, commenting, at least one of those, you know that right now you're not really interacting and you're becoming more transactional. So people are seeing you and they're thinking you're selling. And let's be honest, nobody likes a salesperson in essence. Like you don't want to be, we all want to be sold to, by the way, but we don't want to feel like we're being sold to. So you know that people are feeling, yeah, people are feeling that you're selling them something when they're like, my guys, just stand there. Or I will just go scroll through, I won't even react or whatever. And that's one of the key moments where you know when you are doing most of the talking. The number two, another thing is your customers only take the product and they don't stay either for a repeat buy, and if they do, they don't bother talking about anything else. They don't even review. Because remember, the only reason why you give feedback is because you actually do care. The day you stop caring is when you also stop saying anything, and that works across in life. Sorry, I'm gonna take some examples in normal general life. Think about it when you actually have a partner. When you still care, you will communicate. The day that you stop caring is when you stop communicating because you've shut down and you're basically counting down the days until you leave. And let's be honest, when it comes to business and customers, so business with customers and us service providers as sorry as businesses, what happens is that's a relationship. So end of the day, when people stop giving feedback, they don't say anything, etc., etc., etc. Maybe I'm a bit too transactional. I'm pushing the envelope too much, and I'm no longer taking in because when you get customer feedback, a person cares, and if you do something for them, they inversely become your brand ambassador because they will say, look, hey, I had this one issue with Asante Solutions, and I had this product from them. I told them what the issue was, and guess what? They fixed it. So I think I'll stick with them. And guess what I do? I also tell my friend again that look, these guys listen, all about improvement, and that's how you actually end up getting a sale without you having to go out and sell. So when you're too transactional, what you're doing is you're just pushing products. You're not actually engaging at a human level. And that's very, very, very critical. Hence being authentic. The only thing in life, when I look at it in this entire kingdom, in the animal kingdom, that makes us really, really, really that different is when we are truly authentic, things just seem to, as I said, magically happen. And that's why also that when you're transactional, the only thing you want is a sale. You're not looking for a customer who's going to become an ambassador, a repeat customer who's not. So that's the important part. So it's basically number one, as I said, people don't react as much. Number two, they don't really give you feedback. That's when you know. So you say something, you hear crickets. Something's wrong there. And there's a lot of those red flags. They come in different shape. In a nutshell, that's what it is. You do most of the talking. They don't even reply.
Okay, I do hear you. I'm really sorry. I think I'm having a connection issue on my side. Can you still hear me good? Because for some odd reasons, my Chrome is not responding. Um, but can you hear me good still? Okay, so I guess it's a false alarm, but it still says responding. But I see that you're still moving on the screen. So should anything happen where I kind of like get lost or something, just know that I was here. I'm still here. Okay, I think I lost most of my things. I see my camera is still on. Please just allow me a minute.
Sounds like a goodbye speech, but okay.
A minute. Here we go. All right, I come back. I think I'm back. I'm back, right? I can see you. Okay, the screen is back. All right. Thank you. I don't know what that was, but
Yes, you're back.
it is what that was. All right. Thank you so much. I think I have one just clarity seeking. You
Technology.
said
It,
something about
it works when it wants to.
what can you do? Can live without it, can live without it. Is that can you hear me good on your side?
Sorry, you broke the for a moment. Sorry. Yeah, no, you broke there for a minute. You had a question? I didn't catch it.
Oh, okay. No, I was actually just in terms of the key indicators when you said that most of them they are red flags. So just to get the clarity of the whole thing, just a small summary. So you're saying that as a business that's like marketing, especially digitally, um, you must also be engaging. Don't treat your business like it's transactional, where people will feel like pressured to kind of like buy something from you, rather as a free flowing thing to an extent that you might get people whom you've serviced before, you've worked with before, they are now acting as referrals. I think in that case, we can then count the referrals discount and stuff like that. Like if you refer somebody, you just get like 5% off of your next purchase. So it's like a word of mouth thing where the person end up being your brand ambassador. In a way, they're also getting a benefit of that service. Like, did I hear that correct?
The actual example, there's no ways why I would either do it or not do it in terms of the percentage discounts. But in a nutshell, yes, what I was stating was your customers become your brand ambassadors. The reason why also sometimes you have to think from a brand perspective of being authentic. Once I start giving you discounts for giving me more clients, all right, especially in what we do in terms of marketing and brand. Once I start giving you discounts because of giving me clients necessarily, what happens there is, are you giving me the clients because they're a good fit, or are you giving me the clients because you will get something in your pocket? So, in terms of being authentic, are you really being authentic? Yes or no? It becomes a bit tricky. But in a nutshell, yes, what I was saying was it's all about building your own brand ambassadors and people to become your mouthpiece when you're not in the room. Because at the end of the day, a brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. That's actually part of your brand. I think you might have frozen. Are you still there?
Just, I don't know, either. Um, but I heard your summary. It's you're confirming what I said, but you did mention something about risks, especially when it comes to percentages. So I do get that. That is just something that was on the side. I just wanted to relate it together, ensure that is what I'm hearing correct, because there are some instances where we get like there are like let's say like, I'm buying something from you, and then there will be a part that says maybe like an online purchase. How did you hear about us? And then maybe you could say referred by a friend or whatever, and then referred by a friend. I would have like a unique code and stuff like that, and then that's how the discount part is counted. But I just wanted to ensure that I understand that in a sense of word of mouth, it goes hand in hand with the getting your own person that you don't even have to hire as a brand ambassador or as an influencer to be able to go about distributing your brand without you even having to ask them. But let's say buying something from you, Banele, and then um, one of my friends or somebody sees what I bought and then like, oh, I like this. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I got it from this person. Or I'm just telling them my new laptop is working so efficiently. I got it from Banele's store, and then like, oh, I want to get it. And then there's a part and when the question is like, oh, how did you hear about us? And it's like, oh, by a friend or word of mouth or something like that. And then that's where the whole thing, but that is just something too technical. That's on the side. That's like besides the point. But I do get what you're saying. And I wanted to ensure that that's the message that I got, especially with all the network issues that's been happening today. I don't want to be nodding at something that I'm not understanding. And I'm certain that people watching us at home, they also don't want to be like, yeah, I hear this guy, but what is this guy saying? Just to understand, to ensure that everybody's on the same page. But I do get it, and I don't want to get to the nitty gritties or the technicalities of the discounts as to how they're applied. That is just something at somebody's discretion, the person that does that. But that's a very valid point that you raised. I'm not sure where the background noise is coming from, though. Is it from your side or?
Same page. And look, at least we know that people at home, my side, okay, I'll ask you guys to turn it down just now, but I was saying if people do have a question, they can always actually put it on the chat and then we can actually ask them or we can answer or address it. So looking forward to those questions also.
Yeah, I'm still like looking for those questions. However, I think due to the network and issue that is currently going on, um, I was trying to refresh myself actually. Did I lose you, Banel?
I'm over here.
Okay, better. I was kind of worried. I was kind of worried. I was kind of worried because I lost you for a second. And communication break. It like for me to go back and ask what was going on is just going to take another 30 minutes for us to understand what is it that we're trying to correlate between each other. So it's fine. As long as everything is smooth on my end, can you hear me good on your side? And also the background noise that was happening, I'm not sure if it was coming from your pods or what was going on. But I hear that it's all clear now. So I think we can move on. Are we good to move on? All right, thank you. We have now 15 minutes left in our Asante MarTech Unpacked series with Lala. Yeah, man. So I don't want to scrutinize more on the brands and what we were going on because I saw that this is just gonna go somewhere where it's meant to go somewhere. So from let's just I like the part where you say I have a lot of examples. I can share them later. So let's just leave this in the later archive file. So like I want to know something again in the very same essence of strategy approach in terms of marketing. like how can then data and analytics be used to drive sales while still maintaining the emotional connection with the audience? As you did advise that you like people to be connected, engaging, like if I'm marketing something or selling something and I want people to then still be like engaged and stuff like that with myself. So how can then we incorporate data analytics to then be used in driving sales while we still maintain that emotional connection with the audience or the end buyer, the end user?
All right. So, end of the day, I think it's also being able to differentiate or break down that data analytics is basically something you've analyzed and you've seen, which you now need to make sense of. So when I say that, if you've noticed that the data is telling you a story, and the story that you're seeing at that current given moment is, look, people are, let's say, for instance, you've checked your data analytics on social media and people are visiting
Mm-hmm.
our page, but they are not necessarily interacting with us. Okay. All right. So now,
Mm-hmm.
for you to draw the thread of actually understanding the emotions, you need to now look at why is that? What are the heat maps saying? Is it because of the type of content you're bringing out there? And then when you understand what type of content you're bringing out there, are people more receptive to frequently asked questions? Or are people receptive to more UGC, user generated content, that you actually put out there, which is now acting as a testimonial? So in a nutshell, it'd be, in simple terms, it would be understanding what the data is telling you, understanding the story, then building the emotion or attaching it to an emotion which makes people react. Because end of the day, the main reason why we use these platforms is because we're looking for a reaction or an action to actually take place from what we actually put out there. And not all the time is it necessarily transactional in terms of a sale. Sometimes it's just a matter of letting people know that we care, or letting people know that we also have customers who actually love us. So they should not fear or to actually reach out and try to actually get things done with us, or they should not fear to actually talk to us. So those are the elements, because we do different things within this marketing realm and this marketing platforms themselves. And for you to get the connection and still be emotional, it's actually about understanding what the data is telling you and then approach it from a human level. And when I say human level, we are a feeling first um, people. So when I say that, it means that people buy based mostly on emotion, and everything else becomes secondary. So if you take away the money aspect and we say we all are millionaires, we would all buy the brands we all want because we can
Yes.
afford them, and that's based on the feeling. So those brands also mastered ways of having you feel like you belong to a certain community. Hence, when you're purchasing a product from them, it could be a garment, which is clothing, it could be a car, it could be sunglasses, whatever it is. You are not necessarily purchasing of an item. You're actually purchasing your way into a community. And there's a way that you feel around the community. Hence, authenticity is so important. Because when you're authentic, it's such an easy buy. Like, people will end up, if you think about it, some of these products don't cost that much. They actually don't cost that much, but certain brands will sell you a trash bag, handbag for about $800. So literally, when I say trash bag handbag, yes, literally that. And I look. I have to say this. I have to say this in Zulu because it made me laugh. We can translate later, but "Umhlaba ungehlule." I saw it. What was it? Was it Louis Vuitton? Who was it?
The
Who was
striped
doing it?
bags.
I forgot who was doing it. Yes, yes. I'm not, someone will have to correct me on the chat, but I think it might have been Louis Vuitton, and they selling it at a premium. But when you look at it, "Umhlaba ungehlule." The thing that I would go to downhill it is that I
50
can
rand.
find for about an easy 50 to 100 bucks. Yes. And then you'd get a Louis Vuitton come in because now they've made it something else. You sell it for an easy $150.
Yeah. I- I'm shocked.
So
I'm
yeah,
still shocked, but I
that's
think
that's so understand what the data is telling you.
mm,
No, I
oh
might
my
be I
god.
might be incorrect with in terms of the brand, but in terms
Uh,
of Umhlabung Yehlule and then a brand that of that caliber taking it and selling it at a premium, yes, that is very on point.
oh my word. Now I'm just out for it, honestly, because that is just new information, and I'm still trying to process it,
You
and I
still
think I'm
there?
glitching. Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me now? Banele, can you hear me? All right. Not sure if I'm still audible enough. However, seems like Ubanele is having a technical difficulty. I'm just going to try to reach him to see how we can get him back online.
You're breaking badly. I didn't catch a word. I heard you were speaking. I couldn't catch. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. All right. So seems we're fine.
All right.
Is there a delay
Better.
or you can hear me?
Better. No, yeah, I can hear you now and I can see you. So it's fine. I was trying to get a hold of you somehow offline so that we can still continue because I thought I lost you there. I heard what she's saying. So I was actually just saying that I didn't think that such an expensive brand would go about selling Umhlabunge Tlule because I know now that's going to be more expensive than what you can get in Magete. But the brand, the brand itself sells just by being the brand. So that makes so much sense. I have on my end here on the comment section. We have Umbulelo Ntombela from is coming from YouTube, and his question is: does franchise and or a private entity, company or brand differ a lot in terms of marketing, or it depends on how I think how you put it out there? That's the question. Would you like for me to read that question for you, Vanilla?
Unfortunately, you were breaking again. Can you put it? Yeah, maybe retry reading it, or just put it on the chat, and I can respond.
Okay. It says, does franchise and or a private entity, which can be a company or brand, differ a lot in terms of marketing, or it depends on how put it out there? I think it's how you put it out there. I can just copy the question and drop it here for you so you can be able to respond. I am really sorry about that. Everybody at home seems like we are having a technical difficulty with Ubanele. I'm going to try again to get him back online so he can answer the questions that we have. And we're going to use the remaining time to just go over the questions posed on our socials. I'll be right back.
Hello.
Hi, can you still hear me, Banel?
Yes, I can.
All right. I'm really sorry about that. I'm not certain what happened, but we are running out of time, unfortunately. I think we need to redo our session just to continue from it. I'm just going to speak to the team to see maybe if next week Thursday, if maybe we can just
All right.
continue, because it seems like there are a lot of issues, but we will conquer them at the moment, because there are some comments that were not even showing on my end. So I think there was a lot of issues. So I will just reconvene at the end.
I saw
Just
one which was asking.
yeah.
I saw one which was asking about the if the two differ between, I think, it was corporates, and I forgot what the question actually was about. I
Oh, yeah.
remember there was a
It
comparison
was.
between companies.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it was that it said if a franchise or a private entity, um, company or brand differ a lot in terms of marketing, or if it depends on how it's put out there. So that was a question from, I think it was Mbulelo on YouTube.
the old time lovely answer we like giving in marketing is it depends. It depends. So it depends in terms of budget. It depends on where you're looking to start. It depends on also what your product actually is. Whether doesn't matter what type of franchise, but what are you franchising, for instance, and all of those elements. And probably the biggest one part which it actually depends on is what is your marketing budget. Let's start there, because then that you can reverse engineer and to say these are the in the marketing mix. These are the things we can actually afford to do, and then that's where you take it up a notch from. So yeah, the real answer, it's the marketing answer. It depends. But the best way, which I would actually look at, is to reverse engineer it from a marketing budget perspective, and then that will almost tell you what you can put in the marketing mix to get the true value. And what you do is you continue to reinvest in your marketing budget until you can almost do what other big companies do, which is do a full-on billboard, digital billboard, have people on the ground, do digital marketing, do social media, have brand ambassadors, have the list goes on.
All right, thank you so much for your answer, and I think it answers Bulelu's question that he had asked. Banele, I want to just take time to thank you. Um, for you answering the questions, actually educating and doing what we do best here, unpacking what goes on, what goes in, what doesn't. So we really do appreciate having you here, and to our viewers at home, we do appreciate you guys tuning in. We do apologize for the slight inconveniences caused by latency and network and whatnot. However, we do promise that next week, Thursday, we'll be coming in live and strong. We will not have so many issues. I will try to have Banele again soon, so that we can go or continue unpacking. And because we have a lot of questions for you. You shared with us a lot of insight in terms of marketing, how it's approached, especially the authenticity part of it. That was very, for me, educational. And I think to the next person, it's something that they were not like overseeing or they were not paying attention to. So we really do appreciate you putting in that input and, educating and in a spirit of relationship building and things being built. So we really do appreciate that. However, we'll have to cut it short for now due to time, but we really would like to have you again. If you want to say a few words, and then we can call it a wrap. Banela, you still there? All right, I think I've lost Ubanele. However, we will still have him. We'll try to have him again. To those who are watching us at home, I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening or good night. And thank you for tuning in with Khotso from Asante. Bye.